Hi, I am Sheena, and welcome to Melanin and Manga. Now, you're probably thinking, what the hell, when you saw the thumbnail, and trust me, I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Sheena? So, I'm going to try to explain as best as I can. This video will be all over the place, very unscripted, it's very last minute thought. I don't even know if I'm going to put it out. But I just thought, fuck it, why not? So, like I said, I'm Sheena, and I'm sorry if this is the first time that you're hanging out with us and experiencing what we bring to the table. But yeah. Um, so, unfortunately, recently I have dealt with losing beings in this world that I care about deeply. And the first one was my dog back in December. And the second one was my brother, well, my brother-in-law of 23 years. And they both died unexpectedly, out of the blue, on a normal Monday day. And it has rocked me to my fucking core. So, but I felt like maybe I should try to do something, I don't know, not even positive, something more than just sit here and just be in a funky ass mood. So, people use all types of things to deal with hurt and death and love and all types of things. People use music, people use exercise, people use therapy, people use drugs and alcohol and all types of things. So why would books be any different? So I thought about maybe sharing some books that I know that deal with some really hard topics, and that's death and loss and grief and everything in between. So I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can. So, yeah, here we go. Like I said, I'm probably just going to be all over the place and just say whatever the hell I can. And I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to do anything like that. So, just bear with me. Okay. So, so yeah, death is something hard to talk about. I know that I don't like talking about it and don't like experiencing it and everything that goes with it. And sometimes we're just really casual about the shit. But some of these books that I'm going to share are not too casual with it, and they make you really think. So, the first one I want to share is Alice in Borderland. So I don't know if anybody's read this. This is one of my favorite ongoing mangas right now. It deals with kind of like if you like in the Hunger Games, things like that. It's kind of like that. So people are sucked into this place called the Borderlands, and they are forced to play games to get more time to live. And if they don't play the game, then what they call is their visas, and they expire and they die anyways. So a lot of these people, when they show the background on their lives, it's usually like people that are taking life for granted or not like living up to their potential and everything, and then they're sucked into these games, and then they realize that like life their life wasn't so damn bad when they're faced with like having to kill other people and having to do things that they never even dreamed about to do just to live for a little bit longer. And some of them embrace what the game is trying to explain to them or take from them, and then others like really really see the big picture. And yeah, it's in between all the goriness and stuff like that, there's something to be learned, and I absolutely love it. And it's heartbreaking, some of the background stories are just so heartbreaking, so but it's so good. I definitely feel like it's worth the read, um another one of my favorites is The Summer That Hikaru Died. Now this is almost like classified in like the BL monster boyfriend type thing, but this is one of my favorites, absolute favorites that are going on. There's only 2 books out. It deals with these 2 boys, and one of them goes out into the forest. Hikaru, he goes out into the forest and he dies. But something comes back in his place and tries to take his life and live it amongst, the the people in the village and stuff. And his best friend realizes that that's not Hikaru and that something bad happened to his best friend. And he is trying to navigate, life with this entity that took over his friend's body. And it sounds like him, it looks like him, it has all his memories, but it's not him. And just imagine like that devastation that your best friend is gone. Like you'll never see him again. He's dead somewhere. And this thing has taken its place, and you can't help but to, maybe feel some type of like relief or whatever. Like there's so many mixed up feelings, and just to be a teenager to deal with those big feelings, and and you kind of get the feeling that there was big feelings between these 2 boys, and he doesn't know if he can ever like move on with those feelings and experiment with those feelings because he's gone. But this entity that's in front of him that's taken over his friend's body and his memories and stuff wants that with him. So it's very interesting to see. But it does talk a lot about death. It talks a lot about, grieving, but celebrating life at the same time, and the possibilities of something different. So, yeah. Then I have one of my all-time favorites too, and that's called Given. And this story actually, especially this volume, deals with a set of boys, but this one right here really deals with the loss of somebody. Spoiler alert. He deals with the loss of somebody very suddenly, to very close to his heart, and he's just trying to figure out how to deal with it and navigate through life. And he actually finds it in music, actually learns how to deal with all his emotions and music. So yeah, definitely worth picking up. BL, if you're into BL and stuff like that. But it does do a good job at explaining how he's able to just navigate through life with all these big feelings that, is just horrible to deal with, So, next I have Summer Ghost. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this book. So, Summer Ghost deals with 3 individuals, and they all have, of course, like different lives and stuff like that, but they all have one thing in common, that they all have a very close relationship with death, and they all find each other like on this board, this message board, and there is a rumor that if you go to a certain spot and do certain things, that this ghost will appear and talk to you. And they end up finding the ghost. And the only reason why they could see the ghost is because of the fact that they all walk very closely towards death, with death. So I think it does a good job at depicting like different types of grieving and death and loss and everything, because even the ghost, she died suddenly, and one of the kids is very sick and he's dying, and then and the 2 want to literally like kill themselves for a reason. So they're brought together, and you get to see how they try to overcome and like face the things that they are really dealing with, you know, some really heavy shit that they're really dealing with. So, yeah. Next is one book that is very close to my heart, and it is called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. And this book is very dear to me because the other girl that I do this channel with, Enja, her and I, this was one of the very first books that we did together, and it'll always mean something to me. But it is very, very sad and very just punches you in the gut and how on on a subject that is very hard. So you meet two kids that go to school together, and the girl is very popular, very outgoing. You know, everybody loves her and everything. And then you meet this boy right here, and he's very quiet and he's very reserved. He doesn't need friends. He's just all to himself. And then something happens to where they end up, you know, talking to each other and being friends. And the kicker is that she's dying. She basically has like this terminal illness and she's dying. And nobody knows except for him. And they make this friendship solely based on her, the little time that she has. So, you know, it just does well at making you face things that you don't want to, and it's never too late to find love or friendship or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, um, big twist at the end. It's worth reading, even though it breaks your heart, you know. So, um, I have one more, I think, and this is Togepi's Original Sin. Now, this book, if you like Goodnight Boom Boom, then you would definitely like this book. This book deals with a lot of heavy things, including like suicide and you know, child abuse and everything like that. But it's done well, where it's like in your face, very raw, very just blunt. Okay, so you meet this little alien, and he's from this place called Happy Land or Happy Place, and he comes to Earth in order to spread happiness. And he meets this little girl right here, and her life is as shitty as it can get. And he is determined to make her life better. And something really bad happens to her, and everything that he does afterwards is just try to fix things. And it does a really good job at explaining that like some things, no matter how fucked up they are, that's just how it's supposed to be, you know. No matter if you can't swallow it or, you know, you don't want to face it, like some things are just meant to be, you know. So yeah. I actually don't have it on hand, but I did read a book that was called what is it called? Haru's Curse or something like that. I can't remember the name. I remembered it when I first started, but it was recommended by Inja, and it's about this girl, and she has a sister, and her sister dies of cancer, and she is so fucked up because her sister was her best friend. Now, not only she's trying to navigate her life without her sister, she now has to marry her sister's fiance because both of their families, the fiance and her, their families are like wealthy and known, and like to keep the family strong, and you know, all this stuff, that they had arranged marriages. So instead of her sister dying, you know, and now she has to take her place. So now only does she feel horrible, now she has to deal with the guilt of like having to have a relationship with this man that her sister was like gaga for. So I loved it. It's very, very sad. And then it also, I loved how, like, you have like this notion of somebody in your head, and then when they're gone, you start finding out things about them, and then you're mad at them, and you just can't do anything about it. And like, she goes through a lot. She goes through a lot of things, and like realizing that everything wasn't what it was. So that's that's hard too. Like when somebody passes and you learn things about them and you can never get like closure over it. You got to find another way to get your closure. So, but yeah, those are some books. I don't know. Um, Death and life and everything in between is hard. And if anything, losing the two that I love, if anything, it's taught me is that once again that nothing is guaranteed, you know. And death don't give a fuck whether we were done loving that person or whether they were young or whether they were this or that. It doesn't care. So, and if anything, it was a slap in the face to remind us, like, hey, this isn't always, this isn't. So, what are you going to do with that time? You know, um, you're not alone in your feelings. You're not alone in being sad or depression or anything like that. So, I'm going to try to, you know, see the silver lining in all this and be happy and remind myself I ain't got a lot of time and to do some of the things that I want to do. So, and I hope that you do too. I hate that you would lose somebody or hurt like that, but there's still things to be grateful for. There's still things to move on and, you know, but yeah. Um, but thank you for sticking with me and all over the place and shit like that. And I don't even know if I got the message across. But just bottom line, that sucks. Life can suck at times, but it's worth it. So, yeah. Take care.